Georgia's Paradise Park lived up to its name for Suzuki's Steve Hatch and Mike Kudrowski. The pair went 1-2 rebounding from round 1 DNS. But the third FMF rider, defending champ Rodney Smith, did not finish making. Can he duplicate his teammates' feat at Steele Creek? From the Blue Ridge Mountains in Morganton, North Carolina, this is GNCC Racing, presented by Suzuki, round number 3 action at the Steele Creek Campground. PJ Smith, Dave Reef ready to get it on as we take a look at our current point leader, Jason Raines, getting set to go.
Well, you know, Dave, everybody's saying Steele Creek, tight and technical. It's looking like a Rodney Smith track. I'm convinced anybody can win. Jason Raines, Mike Lafferty, heck, even Rodney could take it today, no problem.
Lafferty had that win snuffed away from him by those 2 FMF Suzuki riders. Rodney Smith did not finish the last race. That's the task for him today as you're looking at the most recent winner.
That's Steve Hatch taking his first win in a couple of years. Feeling really good about that one, too. Let's look at the starting grid here.
Names and numbers, pay attention to them because that's how you'll identify them out on the race course. It could get muddy, could get kind of tricky out here today, especially with all the creeks.
A lot of water crossings here. No motocross track. Keep that in mind. It's all woods, uphills, downhills, rocks, roots, ruts. We got it all at Steele Creek.
Well, this was the scene at the Rebel Run in Macon, Georgia the last time we went GNCC racing. There's Hatch crossing the finish line, followed by Kudrowski as both riders passed Mike Lafferty in the closing stage.
It felt great to put my FMF Suzuki in the winner's circle, and it's been a long time coming. I had a lot of good races last year, just some bad luck, and you know, last race back in Georgia, round 2, it's really good for me. I didn't ride the best, but when it counted, I came across the finish line first and was really excited about it for MSR and Dunlop and Scott and all my sponsors. You know, it makes a big difference for them. It makes a big difference for me.
The riders are on the starting line as we're set to go.
10 seconds. Counting it down for Rodney Smith, for Freddie Andrews, for Steve Hatch, of all of our top runners, for Mike Lafferty on the starting line.
Kick starting their away. Some riders struggling though, BJ.
A lot of riders struggling off the start. Mike Lafferty, surprisingly, he's got electric on that baby.
Steve Hatch nailed that hole shot. That's the yellow Suzuki you see on the inside, but take a look coming on the outside. The number 1, Rodney Smith, already onto the lead.
You want to get your passing, get it done right now. We got a long grass course where we get into the woods. Look at this, some new guys. Josh McLeavy, 7'11". Robbie Jinks coming around the outside there, number 8.
But it's Rodney Smith who is streaking away on a beautiful sunshiny day, expecting temperatures in the mid-60s, BJ. We did have a nice, crisp, cool morning.
Take the weather out of the game. It furthermore makes it anybody's race.
Well, there you see the field still stretching out as Smith now begins to open up a bit of a lead on that number 1 Suzuki.
When you got a grass course like that, you can just open it up. You're not in the dust. You can just hold it wide open for as long as you want. There's nothing in front of you.
Continuing on this grassy section, about ready to head into the woods. It's obviously good to be the leader heading into there, but if you're second, your passing opportunity is going to have to probably wait till you get out of there unless you make one of those unique lines.
Exactly. Just shows you how long this course is. We got all the rest of the classes back there. It's important to get these guys spread out, though, because when we get into the woods, it's tight, and this will help us avoid bottlenecks right off the start.
One more right-hander on this infield portion, and in just a moment, Rodney Smith and the rest of the freight terrain will enter the wood section for the first time here today. And it's certainly worth noting that while these riders get a chance to go out and walk the track, they have not ridden through this part yet.
No, the rule is no practice, no parade laps. They can't even walk it until Sunday morning.
Look at the speed through this section. You keep up with these guys?
Maybe for a few turns.
There's a look at our leaderboard as the bike streak on by. Rodney Smith beginning to stretch it out. Now Fred Andrews back in 6th. Guarantee he wanted a little better start, but we've kind of seen this from Fred this year.
Yeah, he's always starting the back of the pack. Like Mike Kudrowski's back there, always charging to the front by the end of the race. Let's look at this track right now. Off the start, you can see the winding grass course, back and forth, back and forth. We get into the woods. I talked to a lot of the guys before the race. They're saying, I don't want to lead right away, but I want to be with the lead pack. And that's so you can avoid bottlenecks. You get out into the lead, you don't know what's going to happen. Rodney Smith was one of those people, but look at him. He's way out in the lead already.
One of the best portions of this racetrack is yet to come. You noted on the track map, a section that said water crossing. That is one thing that this track has that probably no other GNCC track does.
Yeah, we go under a bridge, into a water crossing. You can take it 2 ways. You can charge through there, maybe make a pass, get soaked, wet gloves, or you can take it easy through there. I would advise you to take it easy, especially on the first lap.
Bottom line, you do have to duck. Battle for fourth waging on. That's Steve Hatch, our most recent winner, trying to keep the pace ahead of the field. There's Brett Andrews coming through in 6th.
Yeah, check out this turn right here. We've added a little bit from the ATV race yesterday. Tight stuff.
Back out of the Blue Ridge Mountains onto the grass at Steele Creek Campground. Rodney Smith on the Suzuki facing McLeavy, Jenks, Hatch, and Garahan, and that cement bridge still to come. Today's GNCC Round 3 racing event is being brought to you by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles, and by MSR Off-Road Riding Apparel, innovative off-road riding apparel for riders with a single-track mind since 1971. Dave Reef, BJ Smith back in Morganton, North Carolina, as you take a look at your race leader, Rodney Smith, beginning to stretch it out now, crossing one of the wooden bridges here at the Steele Creek Campgrounds.
I want to take it a little easy over that bridge. Grab a little too much throttle. Rubber doesn't do too well on wood.
Brett Andrews has increased his position up to 5th as the battle for 6th is warming up, only because Steve Hatch has fallen back.
Freddie Lovely's open parts, just hammering it wide open. He does a lot of passing here. Look at Mike Lafferty on that KTM 400, railing around these berms.
You get the feeling that it's just a matter of time for Lafferty, who still has yet to win one of these races, but looks better about every time out.
Like you said, it's only a matter of time. It's coming for that young guy.
Robbie Jenks has just gotten around Josh McLeavy, as you saw, as Rodney Smith tackles some very tight and technical terrain.
Very tight, very technical. We didn't see that in ATV day. Added a lot to this course.
There you see Andrews, Lafferty, and Hatch. The battle for 4th getting very close as we get a look at one of the very steep descents. Lots of elevation changes.
No need for power right here. He's just coasting down that hill. That's a steep one, hard to even walk up.
How big of a gap has he pulled on 2nd place? We wait patiently, and there we find Jenks coming down the hill. McLeavy still right behind him.
Very surprising. We're at the very end of lap 1, and he's already got about a 10-second lead.
Chuck Woodford right in front of Jason Raines, who's back in 12th. Tough start for our leaders. We go on board to follow our leader through the trees.
Tough start for our points leader, Jason Raines, back there in 12th. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm convinced that he can win on anything, and I'd expect him to catch up to a top 5 here.
And here's your first look at the concrete bridge. There you see it just on your right. We take a look back at your leader. He's definitely on it now.
Just carrying that momentum up the hills. He's got a long gap. Here's Chuck Woodford, number 11, in 11th.
You better drop your head.
Jason Raines makes the move. He's in 11th now, moving his way toward top 10.
We had a chance to talk a little bit to Rodney Smith before this race, and he basically told us he was just going to try to ride with the pack. And, oh, Steve Hatch has pulled in. What happened?
I'm out. Last weekend I screwed up my family and my knee, so I can't even put my foot down or hang on. So next 2 weeks is another race.
He did complain a little bit of that nagging injury from a week ago coming into this race, but he thought he was going to be able to get through it.
Yeah, that's a bummer for Steve, coming off a win. Now another DNF. It's quite a damper on the season. And these guys don't get any throwaways, remember that.
Well, that'll just set the stage for him. See if he can come back as we take a look at the battle for 2nd. McLeavy back around Jenks.
These are 2 young guys that are coming up through the ranks right now in the GNCC series, and it's good to see them up front battling for podium position.
Shane Watts still out for Team KTM. Hopes to make it back by the South Carolina round, but tell you what, the wrap around that wrist tells me that it may be a while longer yet.
It's hard to say.
I'm not a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express. Rodney Smith, your race leader, now pulling more than a 35-second gap on the field. Oh, and that gap will get even larger because McLeavy is down.
McLeavy looks like he got cross-rutted up and coming out of that corner right there. A little bit of throttle threw him off to the side.
Jenks will steal by for second place as McLeavy does get the Honda restarted, but now is in third place. Back to our leader.
As we were talking about earlier, Dave, Rodney's out in the lead, but he said he didn't want to be in the lead right away. In the lead pack, not in the lead. That's not what I'm seeing here.
Well, he most certainly looks like he's riding comfortably, as is Jenks now, who does no longer have any competition for that runner-up spot at this point. But keep in mind, this is a very long race here at Steele Creek today. Jenks is racing for second. Can he get within earshot of the Suzuki? Steele Creek GNCC Racing is brought to you by MSR Off-Road Riding Apparel. Innovative off-road riding apparel for riders with a single track line since 1971. Welcome back to the race where Robbie Jenks has found his way into lap traffic, and that's going to make it even tougher for him to get up to the front.
Yeah, as if he didn't have it difficult enough already catching a guy like this, Rodney Smith, who's way out front, cruising to his first win of the year maybe.
29 minutes, 49 seconds. His second lap got even quicker at 28:27, riding very comfortably as Jenks crosses the same portion of track.
It's so hard to catch him now because he's just way out front. If you push it too hard on a track like this, you're going to end up going down in the tight woods.
You can see the course beginning to get a little rutted. Obviously a lot slicker out there as that grass gets worn down.
Look at this, Jenks has his hands full with Fred Andrews. And that's Brian Garahan right in front. Jenks looks like he's dropped down to third.
Battle getting tight as the MX Kid fights his way from the back of the pack. He started well outside the top 10, has moved his way into the top 5 now in 5th.
Kudrowski, Lafferty, both improving so much in GNCC racing this year. Really expecting these guys to get a win soon.
Right now, they are nowhere even in the same zip code as Rodney Smith, who has pulled the gigantic lead at this point.
He looks over, he's at the end of that grass track, trying to find out where everyone else is.
You just touched on a BJ change of position as Brian Garahan has moved into second ahead of Robbie Jenks. Brian's brother Pat's still out with a broken leg, and he suffered in Okeechobee.
Look at this, look back, he almost swivels his head around. That totally blows your concentration, and you're more worried about what's behind you. He just needs to focus on the track in front of him.
And he better watch out for that charging Fred Andrews. Meanwhile, a man whose charge has stopped is back in the pits.
I crashed in Lake Havasu, hurt my thumb real bad and my knee, and was just hoping to tough it out today and see if we could put my FMF Suzuki up in there. You know, I was really hoping to get maybe a top 5. Would have been a great ride, but I got the whole shot. My FMF Suzuki was working really good. I'm really bummed because it was a really good track for my style. It's real rough and technical and rooty, but I couldn't take my foot off the peg. It had no strength, and it was just kind of dragging in the ruts. And then my left hand, I couldn't hang on the bike, so I only had the right hand and the left foot that were working. So I figured it was probably smart to step back out of it early in the race, not injure any worse, and come back in a couple weeks in South Carolina and go for some wins this year.
It's a 3-hour race, and you definitely need both arms and both legs, and a little help from your pit pals as Casey Bolton brings Rodney Smith in and starts to chug a lug of gas.
Casey's Rodney's mechanic. We got Kudrowski's mechanic over there keeping the bike running, and wife Lori feeding the water. Takes off the water still in his mouth.
Rodney says, I'll just go ahead and get rid of that when I'm done drinking. But for now, you're taking a look at Lafferty trying to make his way to his pit stop quite possibly.
Trying to get around those lappers. It's going to start getting thick through there.
Now Fred Andrews is in. Andrews made a great charge so far as we get very, very close to the 2-hour portion of this race, which means we're about 2/3 of the way through.
Totally focused. He didn't even come in for goggles. Gas only. I'm gone. Trying to catch Rodney Smith.
You see the Yamaha team waiting as Jason Raines has made his way in. Daryl Raines, his father, will drop some petroleum in there and dump a little cold water down the back, cool him off.
Look at this. Raines outside the top 10, already into the top 5. Amazing.
But the entire day has been about one man on the one bike. Rodney Smith, the 3-time and defending champ, trying to duplicate what Steve Hatch's teammate did just a race ago. Go from the DNF to the win. Holy cow, look at the freight train we've got here.
This is the lead pack we were talking about, but Rodney Smith's not a part of it, out there catching the smooth lines and staying away from these guys, pulling out to his own lead.
We saw Jason Raines back in there, about the 5th position. Lafferty behind him. We've got 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. All freight training through the woods.
They're sticking close to each other, pushing each other, trying to catch the leader, Rodney Smith. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it.
How much pressure there has to be going through there, because you know if somebody's faster behind you, you're probably just going to get punted right out of the way.
Hey, it's late in the race. Take no prisoners, make no friends. These guys got to do everything they can to get to the front of the pack.
You may have had a riding partner in the first half, but no more. All bets are off, including the battle for 4th.
Jenks is falling back. A young guy trying to get his first win. It's good for him to get up and run with these guys, even if he can't stay there the whole time.
Kudrowski will take the position on that number 12 and try to hurry his way to the front, see if he can duplicate his runner-up finish. Jenks takes a look on the inside. It's also make your own line time, definitely.
Exactly, anything you can to get up there.
It's Smith, Andrews, Garahan, Kudrowski, and Jenks, but that could change at a moment's notice. Back in a moment. The Steele Creek Grand National Cross Country Race is being brought to you today by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. Visit your Suzuki dealer and see the complete award-winning lineup today. Back at the Blue Ridge Mountains, rock climbing, GNCC racing, you can do it all here at Steele Creek Campgrounds. We've got a great battle for 2nd.
More passing going on out there. We didn't get to see it. You got nearly a 12-mile track. You just can't get all the action.
Got Andrews back and forth as Kudrowski has moved into the runner-up spot, trying to chase down his teammate who is gone. Bye-bye. Behind him, no off-road excursions. We've got a change. Raines is now in 2nd.
It's kind of funny. I was talking to Steve Hatch. Like, how often do you guys fall? He said, oh, 5 times on my own, 5 times with Cliff and the Lapper. It just happens. You fall, and that's the kind of stuff you don't see sometimes.
Kudrowski from the runner-up spot back to 5th. What can we say about Rodney Smith that we haven't already said today? Flawless.
Smooth, smart. He's got this course dialed in. He's loving it.
Fred Andrews and Mike Lafferty heading through now the dusty, grassy section of this racetrack, battling for 3rd right behind them. And Kudrowski's doing his best to catch up and join these guys.
The MX kid doing very well at a track like this. I'm very happy to see him up here.
So you fall down. Is it easy to get back up and really press as Kudrowski moves into 4th?
Well, as the adrenaline's going, sometimes it's easy to get up. Of course, injuries do happen. Freak things are going on all the time.
I guess it's just like the game of life. No use crying over spilt milk or a spilled bike. It's already done. You just will get up and keep moving forward.
Exactly. A lot of riders out there. We probably got more than 400 riders on this track, and these guys have to go through them.
Great look at the freight train once again. The battle for 3rd as Lafferty sits in 5th. Rodney Smith, though, you can hear the crowd starting to let him know that the end of his day is quickly approaching.
And here's the bridge we were talking about earlier. Fred's leading this pack. Watch these guys come through here, charging, trying to pick up another position. Last lap, pay no mind to dry gloves. We don't need them now.
Lafferty continuing to be the caboose in that freight train. First time we've seen Barry Hawk all day.
7th place. Oh, Garahan's falling back to 8th. Looks like he's got a bent subframe back there.
Haven't seen or heard from Mark Hyde in a long time on the helmet cam, and we catch up with him in the battle for 5th between Jenks and Lafferty. Gives you an idea of the elevation change. Big downhill.
There's one of those steep downhills for you. These guys are just powering down it all the way.
Leaving helmet cam in the dust as Raines continues to ride in 2nd place. Guarantee when he started this day, he didn't think he was going to get anywhere near the front of this field, but just like we've seen, he could be the guy to beat, the points leader, trying to chase down the defending champ, but Rodney Smith's got all the right answers so far.
Rodney can do no wrong today. He's just perfect.
His machine stays together. Probably will get the win and get on the scoreboard here and back into this race. Try and track it down this man who's been very, very good all season long. As we've got a battle for third shaping up.
This ought to be good. Drag racing through this grass track. Mike Kudrowski, Mike Lafferty. Let's see how this one turns out. Motocrosser versus Enduro champion.
Flashback just one race ago, Kudrowski found himself in the exact same position, trying to chase down Lafferty for the runner-up spot. This time, though, it's for third.
Kudrowski knows from his motocross days, don't let off. Be the last one to let off. You've got that inside line. Look at it here.
Kudrowski pins the RM250, but the four-stroke rumbles back. BJ, question, laps winding down, we're on this flat portion. In NASCAR, they can drive from the rearview mirror, but can you make yourself wide on a motorcycle?
Keep your elbows up, attack position, protect the inside line, keep it pinned. And that's what Lafferty's doing.
Just a few turns now from the finish as Rodney Smith finds himself deep in the lap traffic, but with a 50-second plus lead right now, he can afford to give back a few more. The final corner, here he comes to the checker flag. Rodney Smith is on the board, round 3 winner. Jason Raines will maintain that second position. Nobody in front to slow him down. The battle going to be for third. Remember, we were watching it. Lafferty trying to hold off Kudrowski. Who's going to come out of the woods in third? It looks like Lafferty. Kudrowski nowhere in the picture. Across the line, Lafferty completes his podium position.
He's still charged in there, though, just like Kudrowski was right on his tail, and there he is. Fell back a little bit in the woods.
The Suzuki scoreboard validates all that we just said. Rodney Smith takes the win as Robbie Jenks holds on to the number 5 spot. 6 through 10 looks something like this, but all eyes firmly on Rodney Smith, the resurgence in the win that gets him back into this points race.
Rode real good today. The track was good and technical, and it was my type of track, and I just had good lines, rode smooth, my Suzuka's working good, and I couldn't do nothing wrong. I want to thank Casey and my mechanic Casey and my wife for helping me out and sticking behind me. We got a rough few weeks, but looks like things are turning around.
With the win, Rodney Smith climbs to 4th in the points, trailing Jason Raines by 19. Is he the guy to beat?
Dave, he's always the guy to beat. 3-time defending champion. He can win any given race, any day.
But he's got to keep on winning if he expects to catch Jason Raines.
My Yamaha just worked great today with the Bridgestone tires, and my MSR gear worked. I had a really good day. It didn't start off very good, but everything just started clicking once I got by myself. I ride a lot better by myself, kind of when I can get out and choose my own lines and stuff.
Steve Hatch was the first to do it for FMF Suzuki, rebounding from the opening season DNF to win in Macon. That's where Rodney Smith had his DNF, but he comes back here at Steele Creek to take the win, BJs. We've got 3 rounds and 3 different winners.
It's a stacked field out there. I think we're going to see this trend continue. We've got a lot of guys who haven't got a win yet in their career, haven't got a win yet this season, like Fred Andrews, Mike Kudrowski, Mike Lafferty. You're going to see them up there real soon.
Next up, we head to Cross Anchor, South Carolina for the Big Buck GNCC to see if that trend will continue. Until then, for BJ Smith, I'm Dave Reed. We'll see you next time.